Greetings and welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday presented by Delta Media Group, where we've always wondered if when Phil falls asleep or otherwise loses consciousness at the end of the day resets and he starts the same day over, what would happen if he took a nap in the middle of the day? Like if he just wanted to take a half-hour cat nap or something, would he wake up a half hour later the same day, or would that reset him to the next day also? I know, we've just always wondered. So, what we're going to look at today is the DeltaNET Property Search. So, what this allows you to do is perform a search in the DeltaNet, and then you have some functionality around that allows you to send out your listing results in an email, or you'll use the same interface to create a saved search for your customers so that the system can automatically send them new listings when they come on the market and those listings match their search criteria. So, we'll take a look at both and kind of show you how those work and what you can do with them. So first off, in DeltaNet 6, to get to the property search in the DeltaNet, or to get there directly, we can go down to Listings and just click on that and take us to this Listings landing page where there will be a property search tile in there by default. Now, as these tiles are customizable from one company to the next, you may not have this tile here. Generally, though, you can also search for that page by just going up here to the search box and typing in property search. If you spell it correctly, there we go. And that brings up a result under navigation here where I can click on property search, and that takes me straight to that page. Now once I'm here, this works like a standard property search, very similar to the way the front end works. So I can search by a variety of different criteria. By market will allow me to type in a market name, and that could be a city name, a zip code, school district, or one of a number of things. And it'll bring up all the listings that match that particular search criteria. I can also do this by radius, where I can define a center point and the radius of a circle on a map. I can do it by area, which works in much the same way, only it allows me to draw a shape out instead of going with a circle. And then I can also do this by boundary, where I can select from different boundary areas. And that would include areas that we've pulled in from public record, as well as any custom areas that your company may have built on the back end of the DeltaNet, where you can really fine-tune a custom area to define something that's not going to be in public record. So for example, we're in Canton, Ohio, and there is an arts district downtown. So what we've done is gone in and created a boundary for that by just going to a map, drawing an area, or drawing a polygon around what we know to be that area, and then saving it in the system so that we can run searches based on that. So first off, we'll click on market, and you can see it opens up this little locations drop down, and then I'll just type in my market name. And you can see it brings all the results up in the drop down here, so I can select from those. So we'll go ahead and select Canton City. So there we go. I can add additional areas in here also. So if I wanted to add in Massillon, now this is all test data, so we'll have to see what, apparently we don't have anything set up in Massillon as far as our test listings go. How about Akron? There we go, we got Akron City. So if I click on that, you can see it adds in results from Akron City, and you can see my results found went from 48 to 51. So what it did is it found all of the listings that are also in Akron, and it added those to my search results set. Now if I want, I can click the X to remove those also. So we'll go ahead and remove both of them. Now the next thing I can do is I'll click on this plus sign, and you can see it opens my menu back up. So if I want to do one by radius, so we'll click on radius. It gives me a map here. And I can go ahead and I can center this map on a specific address. If I can type, there we go. There we go, so it found that address. It centers my circle there, and then I can back out a little bit if I want to and expand the circle by just grabbing that tab, or that little toggle there. And that allows me to define my area that way. This is particularly nice if you have a customer that, say, they only want to live within 5 miles of where they work. So you could put in their work address, and then you could just pull this this circle out to 5 miles, and that gives them that 5-mile radius. It's a little hard to eyeball 5 miles sometimes. We're getting there. There we go. That's pretty close. So you get the idea. And then you can also drag around the center. There we go. If you want to center it on a different point. So we'll back out of that one. And we'll go back into our locations. We'll do one by area. So for this one, I can draw a polygon. This is specifically nice for neighborhoods and things, so I can go ahead and zoom in. There we go, and let's say I wanted to highlight this neighborhood right here. I could use my polygon tool, and then everywhere I click, it's going to put down an anchor. And it really allows me to kind of fine-tune the size of that box. And you can see when I close it, it encloses the area, so now the results included in the search will only be those within this box. And then I can also grab these little toggles here, and I can adjust the size of that, or the shape of that if I'd like. There we go. Really odd-shaped neighborhood. So we'll close that one, and lastly, we will take a look at boundary. So we'll click on that plus sign again, and go by boundary. Now for boundaries, you want to make sure that you get pretty close to the neighborhood you're going for on the map ahead of time. Now the reason for that is because when I select a boundary type, it's going to produce another drop-down menu that shows me all of the boundary types, or all of the boundaries of that type within the map area I have shown here. So go ahead and narrow back down on Canton again. There we go. And you can see all the different options we have here. So these ones toward the top are all the different public record boundaries. So school district, school attendance zone, we're getting all that from public record. But then region, district, and neighborhood down here at the bottom, those are actually the custom built areas. So those are built on the admin side, at the company level. So that is how we would get to those. So we'll go ahead and go with school attendance zone. That's kind of a fun one. There we go. You can see it thinks about it, and then it's going to show me all of the different school attendance or schools that are in my area, and then I can just click on one to grab its attendance area. So let's say we wanted everyone going to Canton South High School. Why not? And there we go. So you can see it draws that area in there. So we'll go ahead and hit next. And now these are all the listings that are currently available within that area. Again, this is test data, so this isn't really accurate, but that gives you the idea how it works. So from here, I'll go ahead and clear that one out, and we'll just add one in by market so we have some results to play around with here. Canton, the tried and true test area. There we go. So now we have all of our listing results loaded up. Now from here, we have all the same property search options that we normally have. So if I go to property type, you can see I can narrow this down by property category if I wanted to include, contingent or pending or coming soon listings. I can also narrow down all the different areas here if I want, just land, or if I wanted to include land, or if I wanted to narrow this down to single family. So I have all those options here. The one thing of note here is that if I were looking at live data, we would have an additional drop down at the top that shows us MLS specific search fields. So it gives us some additional criterias. But those search fields only work for a single property category or property type at a time. So if I have both residential and land selected, because some of those options are residential specific and some are land specific, we can't show them if you're looking at multiple property categories. So just keep that in mind. If you do select more than one of these, you'll lose those MLS specific options. And those really let you fine-tune the search. So mostly, they make the most sense for a single property category anyway, because they're all about really fine-tuning a really specific search. So keep that in mind. So we'll close that out, and now if we go to property details, you can see we have options for when it was listed, price, how recently a price was reduced or increased, beds, baths, square foot. So we have a lot of the standard search fields in here. We'll go ahead. 2-car garage. There we go. Not even worth looking at a house that doesn't have a 2-car garage, right? Right? Well, that might not be the case for everybody. So we'll close that out, and then under filter options, again, these are basically the same options available on the front side property search. So you can really use these to further narrow down the results here. There we go. Now we also have company options here. So if I were looking to just show results associated with a certain office, I would have the ability to do that. This is particularly nice if you want to send out a mailer that says here's all the new listings in one specific office that are currently featured or have an upcoming open house, that kind of thing. So it just helps you narrow it down by the company's listings. And you see when I click on it, I can select a single or multiple offices here. And I can even search by office name if I have a lot of offices. So we'll close that out. Now lastly, we have the search summary here. Now this is kind of cool in that, first off, it shows you all of the different options that you've chosen. So instead of going through each of these drop-down menus to see what you have selected, this thing will give you that information right up front. I can also click reset to just reset all those options and start over. And then next, I can go in and I can save this template if I want. So if, for example, I get a lot of customers pretty commonly that are looking for listings that are between 150 and 200,000 and 2,000 square feet and 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. I could put all that criteria in this search, and then I would give it a name, my custom search template. I'll probably give it a more specific name if I were doing it, if I were doing that, and then click on save, and that will save this template. Now the nice thing about that is if later on I come back in here or I go in through a customer and I'm trying to save a search for a customer, instead of going through and selecting all those options, I can just select from my templates and it will set all of those options on my search, but for the area that I've put in for that customer. So the idea is that I can have that criteria but attached to different areas as I go through and add searches to different people. And it's just a nice easy way to kind of shortcut you there. So I'll hit save. I'll save my template. Why not? You can see my template has been saved. That's good news. There we go, and it resets the page for me. Now from here, once I have my results set all figured out and I've just defined the listings that I want to go with here, I have some options up here to send out a bulk email that has those listings. Now the way this works is this will populate an email blast with the listings on the current page that I'm looking at. So I have this set to 30 results per page, so that means it's going to populate an email with 30 results, or 30 listings. If I wanted to show more, I could bump this out to 60 per page, assuming I have that many results, and I could show 60 listings in my email. So I've got some options there to control how many listings show up. Now the next thing I can do is I can go up here and click on Customize Results, and you can see it adds a couple of buttons down here. This allows me to remove listings that I know I don't want to include in that email, so that just takes those out. And then I could also select a listing to feature in that email. And what that would do is put that listing in kind of its own section above the rest of the results. So, you know, by its nature that way, it is featuring that listing over the others. And then it'll show the rest of the listing results down below it. Now the next option I have here is I can click on Feature Open Houses, and what that'll do is it'll find all the listings in this result set, so not just this page, but the entire result set, and find any that have an upcoming open house. And if they do, it'll put those in their own section up at the top of the email as well. So it's just an additional option to kind of change the way that email shows up. So in this case, I'm going to uncheck that because I don't have any open houses in here anyway, and we're going to click on Email Results. Now I didn't select anything to be featured, so there won't be a featured section here, but you can see that took me over to the Message Blasts page, and we're on Email Blast. And now from here I set this up like any other email blast. So I'll go into the To field. I can select from my customer groups here. I can select individual customers. I can type in a customer name and it'll narrow down for me. Would also work if I typed in an email address. And I can select my recipients there, and then I have the same options in the CC and the BCC fields. Now I can also set a send on date. You can see it's set to the current date by default, but if I wanted to change that to, you know, say send this email at the end of the week, something along those lines, I could change this date to whatever I want. I set my subject line. I can add a small file attachment here if I want to, and then that's all there is to it. So here we have our email all laid out. This is what it looks like. You can see all the listings have dropped in there from that page one, and when I send this out, there'll be a link on each of these emails that takes the user through to my website so that they can view the listing detail page, or they can contact me straight from here. So there you have it. Once you have it all set up, everything looks the way you want, just go down here and click on Send, and that'll send out your email blast. And then it will show up down here in your email blast history just like any other. Also, just like any other email blast, I have all the same options if I wanted to save a draft of this or save a template. And because this is a full WYSIWYG editor here, I can actually add in my own content as well. So, you know, it drops in this table, but if I didn't like the way this looked, I can just click in here. There we go. So that gives you an idea of the kind of thing that you can do here. So there you go. Now that is how you can go to the property search in the DeltaNet and set up a email blast with, you know, various criteria and various customizations as far as the email blast itself. Now the next thing you can do, we'll go ahead and close this out. You'll notice that when I clicked on email template or email listings, it opened up the email blast system in a new template, or a new browser tab. So it's kind of convenient for me in that to go back to it, all I have to do is close this tab out, and I'm still here right where I left off. So that's kind of nice. Now the next thing I can do here is I can use this same interface to create a saved search for a customer. So the way I would do that is I would go to my customer's profile page. Now I can do that either by clicking on CRM to go to my CRM landing page, and I can go to Manage Customer if I have that tile turned on for my company, and then put in a customer name, and that'll take me there. So this would be an autocompleter. I just type in their name, select them, and that'll take me straight through to their profile page. Alternatively, I could type their name up here in this search box, and that would open them up in the autocompleter here and take me straight to this page also. Or I can even go to CRM and click on Customer Center, just like you could in DeltaNET 5 to take me there. So there are a number of different ways to get to this profile page. Now once you find your way here, we're going to scroll down to Saved Searches and Market Watch Reports, and we're going to click on Add a Saved Search. There we go. This should be a very familiar looking interface at this point. So I'll click on By Market. We'll go ahead and do the tried and true Canton again. There we go. Now it has found our results in Canton. Now all the rest of these options are the same, so all the search filters, all of that stuff works in exactly the same way. And if I go to Search Summary, you can see that's laid out. But now here under Search Summary, if I wanted to use one of the templates that I created in the property search by going there directly, I can click here and I can select from any of my saved templates. So I'm going to go my custom search template, the one I just made, and you can see that it narrowed all the listings down. It also showed me what my selections were here, so nice and convenient. And now once I have my listing set put together, or basically the search that I want to save for this customer, so I have that all assembled, I can go to Saved Search Settings. I can give it a name. And this is the name that's going to display for the customer and also show up in the Save Searches interface in the DeltaNet, so I can easily differentiate their searches. My next option here is to have message notifications turned on or off. If I turn this off, you can see it drops the rest of those sections, because at this point it's just saving the search in the system. So the customer could come to my website, they could log into their portfolio account and run this search and see that I saved this search for them, but they're not going to get any notifications when new listings come on the market that match this search. So if I have that turned on, they will. The next thing it will do is I can determine how often the search will run. So this is basically how often it will check for new listings, and then if it finds any, notify the customer. So right now it's on every 2 days, but you see I can go all the way out to every 28 days, or I can go all the way down to instantly. So if I do instantly, the search is running all the time, and then if it finds new listings, it'll notify the customer. So that is definitely the way that they will get informed the fastest if a new listing does come on that they might be interested in. Now the next thing I have here is I can set this up to send an email notification, in which case it'll send the Home Finder email, which has all these listings in it that they can select from. Alternatively, if this customer is opted in to receive SMS messages and I have a mobile number for them, I can select SMS and it will send them a text message whenever a new listing comes on the market that matches their criteria. And then they can click on the link in their text message to go through to the website and see the results. So that is an additional option that is kind of handy to a lot of people. You know, more and more people are working almost exclusively through SMS and through their mobile device, so that can be very convenient for people that want to receive messages that way. And then the next thing I have down here is I can turn the open house notification on and off, and what this will allow is toward the end of the week, if there are no listings that match, or no new listings that match the criteria for this search, it'll go ahead and send the customer an email that lets them know if there are any open houses that match their search criteria. So even though it's not a new listing, an open house could still be interesting, because maybe they'll want to see an open house for a listing that matches their search information. So there we go. So I would just turn that on if I wanted that email to go out, or off if I don't. Now the next option here is I can choose to send the results right now. The cool thing about this is if I set it up without that box checked, the system is basically assuming that the customer has already seen the initial set of results that match this search criteria. So it will only send them out notifications when a new listing comes on the market that matches. If I check this box, it'll send them an email with this full result set initially, and then from that point forward it'll only send them the new ones. So that's the reason that I would use that checkbox. And I can accompany that with a little message. These are some listings I found for you. There we go. So now at that point, I can save this as a search and send the results out, or I can just email the result set. So we'll go ahead and hit Save Search and Send Results. Now we can see it's saving the search for the customer, it's been saved, and it fired off the email to the customer, so they got that initial result set. Now from here on out, all I have to do is sit back and let that search run. Again, they can log into their portfolio account and they can see that if they want to make any changes to it, or I can go back in and I can edit it later on. So we can find it here. Canton Garage Search, Saved Search is the one I set up. You can see I have some options. If I want to be copied on this Saved Search email, I can check that. And then I can also check an option to have any new listings that this search finds automatically saved to this customer's listings so that they can review those as saved listings also. Now if I want to delete it, I can just click delete and then click confirm, and that would verify that I want to delete it, and this saved search would go away. Or if I want to make changes to it, I can click on manage, and you can see that takes me back over to this search page so that I can make any changes and resave it. Now the last piece, very similar to when I set this up as an email blast, if I were going from the property search alone, I do have an option to remove from email any listings that I know the customer might not want to see. So this one doesn't have a picture, I don't like that one, so we'll remove that. And I know that they don't like Christmas. This looks too snowy and Christmassy, so we're going to go ahead and remove that one. Here's another no picture. There we go. So I could do all that before sending them the initial result set so that they don't get a bunch of listings that I know they're not going to be interested in. So there you have it. That is how you use the property search system in the DeltaNet to send out an email blast with a group of properties, and also how you can use that same interface to create a saved search for a customer that will then notify the customer either via email or via text message whenever a new listing comes on the market that matches the kind of thing that they're looking for. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, feel free to give us a call or send an email into support@deltagroup.com. We'll be happy to walk you through whatever you need. And I will see you again next week. Thanks a lot for joining me.